Hello everyone, this is Jesse Bergman again with Punch Entertainment, lead designer and designer of Battle for Sularia. Was stepping back here, we are going to cover the reset and the draw phase. We skipped the reset and the draw phase on our first round of play for both players. Neither player has any cards to reset yet, and neither player has any cards to draw. These four cards down here are serving as my hand. I do have a Gray Harrier in play. We kind of covered all of that in the turn tutorial sequence videos leading up to this video, so if you're confused about where we are in this, I would suggest going back to the earlier parts and spend some time watching those videos and asking questions there. Since we're essentially starting our second turn, I'm actually going to take an entire turn in this video just to show you the flow of the game when we're not explaining all the individual components one at a time. I will do my best to still continue to point out key things and understand where we stand in terms of how the game is operating. So, to start, I had spent one Sularium on my first turn, so I have 0 Sularium in my pool to start my turn. I still have 1 Sularium generation, however. I also have one influence generation, but no influence in my pool either. So the first step of the turn is to reset. And to reset, I take any cards that are activated on my battlefield, which are rotated 90 degrees, and I return them to a vertical position. It's as simple as that. I take any sites, any combatants, anything of that nature, and I bring them back to a vertical position. I then draw 2 cards to add to my hand. Now, I've drawn 2 cards, so that's it. That's the reset and the draw. It's super easy. It's a really quick step. It's intended to be a quick step. It's supposed to reset the board for your turn. At this point, I'm going to start with my influence step, and so the influence step, I'm going to take a Fire from the Sky because it's a threshold type card. It's also a condition, which means my #1 priority, and I'm going to put that into the influence row. Now, with it in the influence row, I have a command window if I wanted to take advantage of that command window right now. I'm actually going to pass, and so will my opponent. So I will go ahead and go to the site phase, and the first step of the site phase is to deploy a site, or establish a site, excuse me. And when I establish a site, I can choose to put that site, like I said in the site tutorial video, on either side of the watchtower or in front of it. So I'm going to put the shipyard in front to help protect my watchtower. I now have a new command window, and I am going to take advantage of this command window by playing a Spoils of War. And when I play that Spoils of War, I pull it out of my influence row, face up into what we call the command chain zone. The command chain zone is basically just a free space between the 2 players where they can respawn back and forth. And so in this case, my opponent is not going to respond to the Spoils of War. I'm going to pass on any further action this turn, and I'm going to put the Spoils of War back into my influence row. Don't worry too much about that right now. The next video will teach you how to play these cards, what it takes to play them, and we'll really explain how influence threshold works. We've left that out, and that's probably the best part as far as learning how to play the game. Basically, from here, I now go to the Sularium phase, and I calculate Sularium. I do have a Sularium generation command window where I may want to add other effects for more Sularium, or maybe try to do something to prevent my opponent from getting Sularium, whatever it may be, but I'm passing on that, and so is my opponent in this case. So I add my Sularium, which is 1 from my Spoils of War, 1 from my Watchtower, 1 from my Shipyard, and then 1 from the Spoils counter actually makes 4 Sularium. So with 4 Sularium, I now change my generation to 4 and my Sularium pool to 4, and I step to my combatant phase. And in my combatant phase, I'll spend all 4 of my Sularium to deploy a red condor. Now, my Sularium pool is at 0 because I only had 4 Sularium and I spent 4 on the red condor, but my Sularium generation is still 4. From there, I now step to attacks. And I'll assume that my opponent has no sights on the board, and because he has no sights on the board, I'm able to deal 2 damage directly to him with a Gray Harrier in an attack. I declare an attack. He would have the option to declare defenders. I would have any option to add any additional effects to try to make my Gray Harrier stronger, protect it if my opponent tried to do something to it, etc. And then I deal the 2 damage directly to my opponent. If he had a sight in play, I would have to do enough damage to take the sight out, or the Harrier would be ineffective because the sight will fully reset back to its printed defense value during the end phase. And that is literally how fast a turn in Battle for Sularia can play. That's what makes this game play so quickly, and it's what makes the game so much fun and easy to shuffle and play back again. And so that kind of covers just really quickly what a turn looks like, as well as covering the reset and the draw phase. If you have any questions regarding this video, please comment below, or please send us a message on Board Game Geek or on Twitter, and we'll see you on the battlefield.